Hello and welcome to Step Up Nigeria podcast show. The Step Up Nigeria podcast show is an initiative built to create awareness of governance issues that highlight the costs of corruption and its impact on service delivery. It is also aimed at promoting values and that will help build a society with people of integrity and provide solutions to service delivery challenges that is faced by everyday Nigerians. I'm Joshua Odidi, and I'll be your host on this episode, which happens to be the very last for the year 2025. And doing this with me, I have amazing colleagues who will be joining us to help us take a look and reflection on what the year 2025 was like at Step Up Nigeria. Um, I'll allow you both to introduce yourselves, but we'll start with you and Gaza. Over to you.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Gaza Ibrahim. I'm the communications manager here at Step Up Nigeria, and I help with communications here at Step Up Nigeria.
Thank you for joining. So good to have you on this episode. The next person, of course, is not a stranger. She's very familiar on the show. Over to you, Ma.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time you're listening. I'm Feranmi and I'm Director of Programs at Step Up Nigeria. And don't mind Gaza, he's being very modest. He's our communications manager. He says he helps out, but he's the reason why you see all the
Yes.
work that we do. So good to be on the call with you guys.
Thank you so much. Every year at Step Up Nigeria, when the year comes to an end, we do a review on how 2025 turned out, our successes recorded, challenges, and even the things that worked and the things we would be improving on as well. We'll also give you a rundown as to the programs we introduced and the heights and feats we reached. And so, to begin today's episode, I would be asking the PD, that's our director of program, just in case you hear that often during the course of this episode. I'm asking you, Ma, looking back at 2025, how would you describe Step Up Nigeria's journey this year? What new or innovative approaches did we introduce to empower change makers?
Thank you, Joshua. And I think 2025, for anyone who worked in the development sector, 2025 was a roller coaster year. Um, and it started off with the roller coaster, of course, with Donald Trump's stop work order and everything that Doge and the US government did in terms of funding cuts and how those funding cuts rippled across the development landscape, embassies, nations, other countries following suit, America, more nationalistic leadership emerging globally, leading to funding cuts across the development sector, and really leaving people to scramble for sort of the same sources of funding for activities. So it was a really interesting year. But I'm thankful for us at Step Up Nigeria because we are constantly innovating. And when we meet those kinds of challenges, we're always saying, how can we do things differently? And I remember when COVID hit a few years back, we also had to pivot a lot of the work that we did remotely, and we did that successfully. So this was just a new challenge. But it wasn't something that we wouldn't be able to surmount. So we this year we continued with the things South Nigeria is known for, including things like our teachers training program. This year we continue to train teachers. We trained about 134 teachers this year using our learning website, and we're monitoring them as well. This year also, we continued with our Anti-Corruption Star Awards, and we were able to award about 18 champions this year across 3 states, across the different categories for youth, for teachers, for school owners, and for community champions as well. And our integrity certification program is growing. I think later on in the podcast, I'll share a bit more success stories from what we're seeing is changing in the schools. But we developed a new tool, which I think I'll speak about when I'm talking about the technology tools. And using that tool, we're able to onboard about 30 schools on our new site and then help them to improve integrity standards in their schools. This year was interesting because it was probably the very first year in our history that we did not engage with children directly. And so our engagements with children this year were through teachers that we had trained, training their own children in school, schools that we had certified for integrity, training their children in school. We also had virtual sessions where we engaged with young people. And at the launch event that we had earlier in the year as well. We had young people there, but we didn't visit schools physically this year. Those who we train children. And so that was, I think, the most significant difference in Step Up's work over the last 5 years is that we weren't able to physically go. But that didn't stop us. We had a lot of book distributions. We had a lot of engagement, book sales that allowed children still access the knowledge that we share indirectly. And it was interesting this year also to meet with like our stakeholders. We had a reflection session going over all that we had achieved in our 5-year anti-corruption education for social change project that was funded by the MacArthur Foundation. Our funding for that, of course, wrapped up this year. And so we're pivoting into beyond the pilot now into our main phase of this project. And looking through, it was useful to get a sense from our partners how well this has worked and what areas they would like us to, focus on in the coming year. Um, I would say the most interesting thing, so I said the thing that we missed out this year that we didn't do, but the most interesting thing that we did this year that was new is our membership meeting. So this year, for the first time, we have steppers, which I hope many of you listening are. And if you have no idea what that means, please shoot us an email from our contact us and let us know how you want to become a stepper, and we'll send you some more information. So we had meetings with all Step Up Nigeria foot soldiers across Nigeria, and it was inspiring to hear of how they want to take anti-corruption education forward. So to your second question, because I've spoken so much already, where you asked around what were some of the innovative approaches that we applied this year to introduce. So I mentioned we didn't go to schools, right? So what did we do differently? This year, we launched a mobile app. Okay. I wanted to show you on the screen, but it'll take me some time to put my phone. But we launched an app, guys. If you're not clapping, you should. I'm sure Joshua at the end will give you the details. We're on Apple Play Store and we're on the App Store and we're on the Play Store as well. So we launched the SUN, S-U-N, that Step Up Nigeria mobile app this year. And that app is your one-stop shop anti-corruption resource hub. It has different tools, including videos, short clips, documentaries, cartoons, storybooks, comic books, learning guides for teachers and for parents, quizzes, competitions. It's that one place where your child can go to be entertained, but also educated around values. And our hit board game, Do It Right, also features of the app. So that allows people to play the game from wherever they are in the world without having the physical copy. So our app is now available. I think for us, that was our solution to funding cuts. We can't go physically everywhere the way we used to. How do we still make our tools readily available for use, even though we cannot go everywhere? And the app sort of solves that problem. So now we have all our tools in one place that we can share with all our stakeholders. And we're happy to share that the app is already being downloaded. We already have active users on the app. Next year, forward looking, we do hope to onboard a lot more schools in Nigeria. And we have something happening outside Nigeria with the app next year, but we'll tell you about that in another podcast. So I think that was the fingers crossed, fingers crossed. That's the next big thing that we have coming up that we've launched. So that was sort of our innovative approach. And as an I don't know if I should do an addendum. As I've mentioned, we train teachers using our training websites. We also developed another website this year called our integrity certification website. So you can Google integritycertification.org and you would find that today. And that allows any school owner anywhere across the world to access a training and tools that teach you how to build ethics and integrity in your school. So now we've created that accessibility for schools all over, Nigeria and across Africa and the world, tools to help you get your school integrity certified on your policies, your codes of conduct. And so this year, I would say the app and the SSP websites were probably the two most innovative tools that we created to empower change makers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very detailed. I mean, it just points to the fact that Step Up Nigeria has already caught on the digital trend, the technology as well. So you also need to catch up with us in terms of that. But to you, Dr. Gaza, what are the new, it's the same question for you, but I'm sure you have something to speak around in terms of how you've led the communication team and how innovation has helped to empower change makers. What are some of the things that you've done in terms of these and from your work as the communications manager at Step Up Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you for question. So, looking back at 2025 as the whole of this year, I would describe Step Up Nigeria's journey as one understated growth. A lot of more deeper impacts were able to achieve this year and hold to the actual mission also happened. So it's a way where we move from just raising awareness to more like a systematic equipping of youth in communities and everyone in the country because we moved completely to like a more digital friendly yes where we have to engage our partners and general digitally. So one of the most significant things that happened was our complete digital ecosystem overhaul, where we had to pause and revamp both our website. That's the main website for Step Up. We also revamped that this year. And also the teachers training website was also revamped this year. We tried our best to make it more user friendly and resource rich. So individuals that join our teachers training, that is teachers in particular, we enjoy the portal and use it more well. And it was also, yeah, it really helped the team. Then Feranmi had already mentioned that we were able to launch the SICP, that's the Step Up Management Certification Program website. That also helped us because we had a lot of teachers, understand, and school owners do like more like self-registration, had access to some of these platforms without us coming to them physically. Then in our own side, as communications team, we're able to also make a documentary film. Um, and we had to go back to our champions, individuals we have worked with and record them. So we're able to produce a documentary on the Cash Them Young initiative, which is one of let's say Step Up Nigeria initiative that has helped to penetrate into young children in Nigeria. So we're able to do a documentary on that, a documentary on the teachers training, a documentary with school owners, and all of that can be found on our YouTube. And we're also able to release our tax series. So in the previous years, the tax series existed as just comic books, but in 2025, we made that like fledged uh, um, an anime that people could watch, and it's also on our YouTube. And I think maybe after listening to this podcast, I'll just hit you up that you should go to our YouTube and watch these videos. So I'll say in summary, 2025 for Step Up Nigeria was more like a transition for us into a fully digitally scalable force where we took anti-corruption education to the digital space so everybody can work with us and yes, and it was a success for us. Yes, sure.
Thank you so much, Doc. Very interesting point as well. Very powerful points too, because it just points out how we have solidified our work in terms of using innovation to meet real community needs. I mean, it's not something new. Whenever you talk about Step Up Nigeria, it's something that we've been doing. So this year we took it a step further. But I'll be moving on to the next question, and I'll be asking you, PD, in what ways have these initiatives that we've mentioned, how have they translated into tangible achievements, especially when you look at how we were on the mission of strengthening anti-corruption education and impact learning in schools? How have these things turned into achievements? And then how can we continue to sustain these efforts too?
Yeah, thanks, Joshua. It's an important question because you don't want to just be doing work for the sake of work. For our teachers training, we were very proud to see that there is still a sustained increase in how teachers understand corruption, in their confidence to teach anti-corruption education, and also their roles in tackling corruption in Nigeria. And we've seen that there've been growth in percentages from 15 to 25% across all those parameters. And about 20 of the schools that we trained this year are actively teaching anti-corruption education as a subject in their classrooms every day. And because we didn't do direct engagement, as I mentioned earlier, we have over 300 children in the schools that our teachers were trained receiving anti-corruption education daily in the classroom. So we know that we're changing values from the classrooms through our training. And for Anti-Corruption Star Awards this year, some of the feedback that we got from past winners, which is useful to share, is that anti-corruption champions are contributing to sort of a value shift. This year, we had, a session at the National Accountability Summit, and we spoke about social sanctions, and we are seeing that our champions are beginning to be those who bring in new values. So we hear feedback from people saying, oh, now I believe integrity is actually possible. It is possible to do the right thing, and I've been inspired by these champions in these communities or schools to act against corruption and do the right thing. And so it's building that positive value shift where integrity is seen as something that is possible. And also, very interestingly, we're seeing that sanctions are being implemented against corrupt individuals because of reports made by our champions. So from our champions this year, we've had teachers who were sacked for giving examination malpractice tips and cheating materials in examination hall. We've had teachers sacked for collecting bribes and showing favoritism to children in schools. We've had people arrested by the police for inflating electricity bills this year. And so we're seeing, apart from the social sanction bits, but the actual legal sanction happening as a result of our anti-corruption champions, reporting corruption. And then I think I would like to share specifically for our integrity certification program, because I think we don't reach as many schools as we desire to every year, but we always get such great feedback. And this new website that we've launched, of course, has improved accessibility. So now these anti-corruption tools, training materials are easy and more readily accessible to anyone who can log on a phone. And another thing that is profound is the anti-corruption champions that we reward every year. More and more, we are seeing that they are being raised from schools where integrity culture has been established through integrity certification. So it's almost a guarantee now that when your school is certified, you would have integrity champions in that school. And that's something we'll keep probing every year as we continue the program. And schools are now looking for alternative ways for teaching anti-corruption education. We have integrity, anti-corruption clubs in schools. We have schools that are now implementing admission academic integrity rather, policies, and schools are now more confident. Before, schools would be like, the money, if we chase people away, if we don't bend, if we don't cheat, we'll lose our students. But now schools are getting more confident to stand on their integrity. They are more confident to tell parents, your child didn't pass our entrance exams, they cannot, come into our school. You don't obey the code of conduct, you face the penalty. And so schools are getting confident to do the right thing. And because of that, they are now getting other parents recommendations. Some schools even reported that they don't even do advertisements anymore for a new session because the feedback from the parents in their school, they are doing self-advertisement, sharing the good news. This school has integrity standards, bring your children here. And that has been a good story of growth that we've heard because of this reduced tolerance for bribery and misconduct in school examinations. So because of that now, again, because we couldn't physically reach children, our integrity certified schools that are daily teaching these values, over 3,000 children are actively receiving anti-corruption education in their classrooms. And so, these are the things that we see that changing. They are changing as a result of this behavioral change, anti-corruption based education that we have in our schools. I think if I have any other stories, just so that my response is not too long, I will come back in another question. But that's some of the key highlights from the year. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Very important. And I believe it re-emphasizes the point of how we're beginning to see, or how we're seeing both immediate results and long-term mindset shifts, because it is very important and significant. And I think I just need to also point out to some of the stories you highlighted. People keep thinking that the leaders we need are from tomorrow as well. But I think what one thing Step Up is doing is that we're already bringing up change makers, we're already empowering them in schools today and now, and so they are taking actions. The points you made around someone who bypassed the NEPA bill and so on, it was a student, it was a young child who did that, who took that action, and then it just shows that we're beginning to see immediate results in the actions we are taking and then in the efforts we're also taking. But now I'm coming to you, Dr. Gaza, because this year just like every other year, we usually have the Anti-Corruption Star Awards. And one thing stood out this year. It was an amazing sight, it was a great event, interesting one as well. But there were some people who we celebrated because their story is a change story of the year. And then these are very, very interesting people. I'm tempted to say a lot about them. I'll let Dr. Gaza speak about it because what would you say is your significant change story from this year, and particularly from Agunji community? And then you can just give us a quick backstory to Agunji for someone who is just hearing about the community for the very first time.
I like what you said, but although I have a lot of stories, but I did like the fact they had to steal Agunji from my mouth and say it before me. So we had a lot of stories this year. Also that of Young that actually stopped his dad from selling, from actually distributing all substandard materials to his
Materials,
clients. That
yes.
also, yes, and that also mentioned about the lady from Lagos that reported the NEPA bill saga. But Agunji's story is more like a peculiar one. How will I say it's a standout story for me. Fairly, I don't know, but I know you say the Avenue story is a standout also for you, right?
Yeah, I think that would be our most significant change story, a step up for the year.
Yes. So Agunji is like a neglected rural area in Nasarawa. It's a community in Nasarawa. And from what we have gathered, Step Up Nigeria, they don't have a secondary school since for 94 years now. Like over 94 years, there is no secondary school in that particular community. Step Up Nigeria came to um, Agunji or went to Agunji in 2023 before the elections when we started our first program. That's the first time that's integrity initiative. And met them, spoke to them, told them you need to act with integrity and to also hold um, political officer officers accountable. And this community needed to what Step Up Nigeria taught them. And in 2024, when we started our Step Up Nigeria Mission program, we engaged the same community. And we had like six fellows from that community, and these six fellows came. They were ready to learn from Step Up, and Step Up Nigeria told them how to engage with public officers. We told them how to also do what we call call out stakeholder mapping, identifying who are the gatekeepers in your communities, how to go about talking to them and all that. And Akunji community, out of all those communities that were part of our fellowship program, they were so committed about the program and they put their mind in it. And these six fellows did not just stop there. They went back to their community, took steps to meet with their elders. They broke it down with their elders, and their elders sat down together with them. And when they identify all the service delivery gaps in their community, tabled it to their stakeholders, they started working together. It's more like the youth in the community married their stakeholders, and their stakeholders were seeing the big pictures of what the youths too were seeing, and they did a lot of work. And one of the works that they were able to do is to talk with their senators, that's political office holders, to get them um, transformer in their community. And that transformer, when the senator representing that community in the person of Senator Bodia Pashki, yes, I'm right about that, produced the transformer in their community. It allowed a lot of individuals in their community to buy in grinding engines. And that community has now become an economic hub within national income. Agunji Central precisely, where individuals from other communities now drive into Agunji to grind their produce. And when they do that, they also pay the owners of those grinding engines in Agunji. And these people are now making money just because they were able to tell a sitting senator that, no, we don't need your money. All we need is to provide us with just basic amenities, what we need to survive in our community, and he brought them light. They were able to talk to another public servant, and who also repaired their borehole, and because they had water issues, and now they have water in their community, which is also a plus to them. But they didn't stop there. They have a primary school that has been in existence, and their children are not learning well because as soon as they are done learning, what they do is they have to go to another community, which is like let me say like how will I say, it's far, like let me say like 20 to 30 kilometers far away from their community, just to go and do maybe if they want to join them junior secondary schools, their secondary school education. If they want to scale through their secondary school education, they'll have to leave their community, trek like 20 kilometers, like to another community to go and learn. And they saw that like as a big challenge. So the community sat down and ensured that they met with the Ministry of Education, they pleaded with the Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Education yielded to what they wanted. And at the end of the day, the ministry had to come into the community, and now they now have a senior secondary school. And this is the first time in the history of their community that they now have this secondary school, and the community is very, very happy, and they are so pleased with what the youth have been able to achieve, and they are so happy. Wrapped up with that, they have this group of women called the Integrity Women. The Integrity Women have been forcing let me say they are like let me say like I'll say like they're the energy um they are the energy for the youths, because when I spoke to the youths, Clement told me that when they have their meetings, they involve the integrity women. And when people talk about if you want a society to progress, you have to work with women. And when the women are behind a man or behind a particular society, the society will flourish. So when the men are stubborn or trying to say, "Oh, this will not work," because the women have because the youth sold the idea to the women, and the women have married the idea. So the women try their best from their homes and with their small clique to encourage their husbands and tell their husbands to see this project. It has to work in our community. And these integrity women have been pushing their husbands. So it's a case of youths in the community coming together, the elders coming together, the women being the driving force, forcing their husbands to ensure that what these youths want in their community come to pass. And a lot of things have happened in the community. There's also now a clinic, a maternity clinic ward in the community, let me say a primary health care that was also established by Ministry of Health there. And they had no facility equipment in the facility, but now there is microscope, a lot of drugs, there are beds that the women can use to give birth and all that. And all these things happen within 8 to 1 year. Let me say, yes, 8 to 12 months. And these women have been able to do a lot of things, and there is, let me say, a big significant change in their community. So this story of Abunji is a standout for Step Up Nigeria, because these are just youths in a rural community, and they don't have, let me say, strong formal education. All they were just exposed to is our teachings and our guidance. And I remember sometimes when they call Step Up to say, "Oh, we want to write a letter, we don't know what to do," and Step Up will be like, "Okay, let's help you people to teach you, do this, do this, do this. When you get to meet with this person, this is how you talk to them." And all these things worked because of one, these youths were committed, they had an open mind, they were ready to learn. And two, when we told them, say no to vote buying, do not collect money from these things, they yielded to what Step Up Nigeria wanted. And they also look at the big picture that, oh, if we collect these things, our community will not be good, our community will not be better. And the only thing that they wanted to do is, let's get our community, or let's make our community work. And they married our program. And yes, Agunji is a standout. And I think NASA States, let me say, they won like 3 awards because of what they have been able to do, and other organizations are looking up to them, and they are going to them to also bring in new initiative to them. And yeah, that's the biggest standout story for Step Up Nigeria this year. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Ma, or if it was well covered. But yeah, well, while you were speaking, Dr. Gaza, I mean, I know it wasn't easy, because he all started with the whole fellowship, call for fellows and so on, and then the fellows applied, and you can also tell to the fact that we took them through some of these steps as well. But of course, in order for something to be great, in order for something to stand the test of time, there are also challenges and then lessons that shaped you during the course of the journey on your way to the success, on your way to your achievement as well. And every meaningful achievement definitely comes with its challenges. And then I'm asking right now that what obstacles did you encounter in advancing the anti-corruption movement this year? And how did you address them in Agunji with the stories from the SICP website, the mobile app? Basically, how were you able to address these challenges this year? We'll start with you, Ma.
I was going to let Gaza go first because I was
Guys,
going
I
to
go,
talk for
yes.
a
Yeah.
long time. But since
Okay.
Gaza just spoke, maybe I should let him breathe. But yeah, like we've said, I think the profound truth that we've realized from Agunji is that grassroots engagement is the key to unlocking development in Nigeria. And if we're able to empower youth in communities to begin to demand service delivery, giving them the knowledge and the tools that they need, then we'll begin to see transformation in communities across Nigeria. So we hope that, more people take this route and approach for development. Um, there were challenges this year. It's sounding very nice, but there were a lot of challenges. And I think one of them was funding. And I think we'd already shared that our primary donor, our funding, our grant had expired this year. And so we had to pivot as an organization and think through what are the other ways that we can raise funding for ourselves to support our activities without relying on donor funding, and then what other donors could fund us. And so even this year, we had some partnerships with government, we had partnerships with private sector. We also used a crowdfunding approach this year for some activities. We're also using our members, like I shared in other states. We have members in Ondo and Kano beginning this advocacy on our behalf in countries that we cannot physically travel to, as a country, states we cannot physically travel to at the moment. And we also had a lot of internally generated revenue. Our books are for sale, our board games are for sale, our workbooks are for sale, and the sale of those products also helped us as an organization to generate some revenue as well. So funding made it more difficult for us to do some activities. Some activities that we would normally do physically, we did virtually. We had a number of virtual events this year that we ordinarily would have done physically, which still went well. And so it was pivoting to other ways of generating income internally, other external support, so in-kind support and partnerships with other organizations, which we did as well. We had the National Accountability Summit, we had our ACS Awards with the ICPC, and then we engaged private sector as well. We had amazing partners crowdfunding some of our activities, and then we have been asking everyone to buy our books. So if you're listening to our podcast again, it's the Christmas season. Our books are available. They're very affordable. Buy them, buy them, buy them. And if you don't have who to give, buy them. I will give them on your behalf and send you pictures. So please donate and support the work that Step Up Nigeria does. And then I would also say some programs Step Up Nigeria had to test the waters to see the engagement for self-sponsorship. So for example, our teachers training program, for example, was fully funded in that the engagement data etc support for teachers was given through our grant. Because there was no grant, we tested seeing how teachers would engage the program without any monetary, incentive or remuneration. And we're quite impressed to see that we still had a number of teachers sign up to the training and engage and complete the training without us having to subsidize the training like we would normally do. So some of the ways that that's one of the ways that we sort of attacked the funding problem, and sort of pivoted to continue our activities. So I think that was sort of the main challenge for us this year. Because we were able to still carry out most of our activities, we just had to pivot differently. Something else that was a bit interesting, and these are external factors largely, is also sort of Nigeria and this designation of Nigeria as, a country of particular concern. And because of that, some other partnership opportunities that we would have gotten with some external sponsors were also cut short because of that designation. And so that made some of our work a little difficult as well. But beyond all of that, we were able to surmount all these challenges and we're still able to carry out all the activities that we would normally do every year and have a beautiful report at the end of the year. So I think we did a good job. I know there are more challenges, but I'll leave that for Gaza to respond.
All right,
Okay,
over to you,
so
Doug.
so I'll just add my voice just around our digital and infrastructural change that we were able to introduce in this 2025. So why we as a team tried to take most of our work to digital space, we had let me say small issues with the teachers in rural areas. They were unable to access internet because of the problem of internet in Nigeria, particularly even as of last week, we had a lot of internet issues. Individuals had to just shift from one place to another, try different network, MTN, go back to your Airtel, to Glo, Starlink, and all that. So we had that issue also with our teachers. So digital literacy too among some of our teachers that are in those rural areas. And during some of our onboarding sections, some of us had to keep on calling them, telling them, oh, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to access. This is how to use Microsoft Teams and all that. And so that also was a challenge because we're moving um, completely into the digital space. And that also, um, because of how we have worked for years and also trying to use those digital tools, we're able to also talk to them and tell them what to do so they could actually effectively use those tools. So I think this is just an additional point to add to a series of challenges that Feranmi had already listed because funding was a major blow to each and every one of us. And yeah, that's just an addition to what he has said. So thank you, Joshua.
Yeah, thanks, Gaza. I mean, before Joshua comes back, I was thinking also, for us, how government interest also still affected us as an organization, because we do a lot of partnerships with education agencies and anti-corruption agencies, and we have a coalition of moral regeneration that has both anti-corruption and education agencies, including the basic education boards in the states, the Universal Basic Education Commission, the ICPC, the EFCC, and some of the partnerships that we had had prior to now, a lot of them were stalled because these organizations did not receive funding to continue engagements on school anti-corruption clubs or ethics and integrity policies or the national values curriculum. Um, Ethics education was also not a key focus area for um, some of the education agencies. So sort of the change in government direction, policy, and leadership across these organizations had also made, some engagements that we would have with the public sector a bit stalled this year. Of course, continued engagement and advocacy has been the approach that we've taken. We're keeping them in the loop. We're inviting them for events. We still pay courtesy visits, and we're hopeful that when things settle, in the new year, we can continue to have even more strengthened relationships with these organizations, despite any funding or policy constraints that exist. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing the lessons and challenges so far experienced this year. I believe that these lessons actually helped us to even to do much more better, and then also to develop new ways of carrying out our activities. I mean, just like how 2020, when people had to go online, this year also we decided to do some things very new and innovative, carrying out new and innovative approaches as well. And then we're actually coming to the end of this podcast show, this particular episode. And if you're just tuned in, hope you've been enjoying it. So far, we've been taking a review at what the year 2025 was at Step Up Nigeria, our achievements, our successes, the story of the year, the challenges, the lessons, and even how we were able to develop new ways of carrying out programs. But right now, before we go or before we bring this to a wrap, we're looking at the way forward thinking, what to do better, what to expect in 2026, and then how stakeholders, individuals, and people generally who are supporting this cause, what they can do to support this cause, how they can also strengthen the fight against corruption in Nigeria. And the question I'm going to be asking is, what additional steps do you believe can be taken by institutions, communities, individuals, stakeholders, and so on to further strengthen the fight against corruption? How can everyone see that fighting corruption is their business? That's the question I'm asking. We'll start with you, Dr. Gaza.
So, so thank you for this forward-looking question. And I'll say first, the fight against corruption is not the responsibility of one organization or sector alone. It requires a sustained collaborative effort from institutions, communities, and individuals. That's including me and you. And at Step Up, we have seen firsthand how preventive education can shift mindsets. Understand? Via our Catch Them Young initiative, because we've been able to work with children since 2018, 2019 and down to 2025. So we've seen how that really, really worked, and we've been able to see how these children, their mindset have been shifted. But to truly strengthen this movement and make integrity the norm, I believe additional steps are like essential. So when you look at the full work Step Up Nigeria is doing, we've been able to work with parents, we've been able to work with teachers, we've been able to work with school owners, principals, and all that. And we've been able to work with the stakeholders, that is both governments and both government and private individuals. And we have seen how when we married all these things together, a lot of change and shift of mindset happened. So firstly, I'll say all institutions, particularly government bodies, schools and anti-corruption agencies, FCC and ICPC, like we worked with them very, very well last year, must prioritize the institutionalization of anti-corruption education from the early stage. And if you watch one of our documentaries, most especially the Catch Them Young documentary, where we had an interview with one of our board members, Dr. Akinwe, he made mention and said, and if we really want to build our society, what we instill in these young words will really, really matter. Because from the movies that they watched when they were young, you see when they grow up, they want to do some of those things that they saw when they were young. And so when we teach them anti-corruption education at a very young age, it helps them when they grow up, they have that mindset. So morally, we have built them, designed them in a way that when they grow old, they will not actually depart from it. So public institutes too should show leadership and also show people processes of how to be strong against corruption. So like they should reduce opportunities for petty corruption and digitalize most of their payment platforms. Like when people go to pay for either international passport and all those things and the rest, they should try to digitalize it completely. So we'll have a lot of resources going directly into government coffers. Tax should be paid directly to government coffers and not going through people's hands, so we can avoid kickbacks too. Then for communities like our work with Agunji, we also learned that when parents, religious leaders, traditional leaders, and let me say community elders work together, they can reinforce the messaging of corruption. And from our experience with Agunji community and what we're able to gather from them, this approach also helps. So when the community say no to corruption, all the youths in the community, let me say like 70% of the youth in the community, we stand with the elders of the community because what? Yes, their community actually frowns against corruption. And so it helps the community as a whole. So as an individual like me and you, listening to this podcast. So what comes to your mind? Everybody have this bad mindset that, oh, Nigeria is corrupt, so everybody in Nigeria is corrupt. But yes, we have to just tell ourselves the truth that we need to act with integrity. Yes, it's because people are corrupt. That is why basic amenities are not being met in these rural communities, and people are not really enjoying their lives. You understand? Because we also accept this corruption mindset that it's a norm and everybody should be corrupt in a way which we should tell ourselves that no, let's all start acting with integrity and also hold service public servants accountable, also
Accountable.
refusing to pay bribes and also demanding receipts if possible and voting based on merits, you understand, and not because somebody gave us resources and all that. So I think these are just some of the things that I'll add. I know Ferrari will dissect it and add some other things to it. So that's my thoughts. And I think if we go this way, Nigeria is going to be better. And for us, a step of Nigeria are already doing this. So yes, so that's all. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Very detailed, very elaborate. Over to you, Ma. Your own why should we continue in the fight? I mean, some people will say, and Dr. Gaga just brought that up, and because that was how I was going to frame the question. But some people will say, why should we keep fighting against corruption in a nation where people believe there's corruption everywhere? Why should we continue? Why should we keep going on? Tell us why, Ma.
Yeah, I think we have to move beyond seeing corruption as a them problem and start seeing it as an us problem. The average Nigerian removes themselves from the corrupt equation. Everybody else is bad. Everybody is corrupt. Leaders are bad. But we do not realize that we are the society that produces bad leaders. We raise them, we train them, and we elect them. And so fighting corruption is not an abstract where it's an us against them. It is an us versus us because we are the reflection or they are the reflection of society. So I think individual citizens must see corruption or see anti-corruption and fighting corruption as a daily responsibility for each Nigerian, not just a national issue that we discuss on, politics today or on the morning show. It's a daily responsibility for all of us. Like Gaza was saying, refusing to pay bribes or demand bribes, obeying traffic rules, reporting
Yes.
misconduct, asking questions, voting based on integrity are powerful acts that everyday Nigerians can take to make a difference. And I think young people in particular have that power if they are well equipped. Social media, digital tools, advocacy, experts at noise making, good, advocacy noise making, safe reporting. This can enable us to participate in governance without fear. And so if we as a people individually, in our families, in our communities, in our religious organizations, when integrity becomes a norm there, then corruption loses its protective power. We are no longer shielding bad people, praising them, exalting them, because as a society, we have chosen to reject corruption. And so there has to be a whole of society approach to sanctioning corruption from the social sphere. If the legal sanctions fail, then the home, the schools, the community, the religious organizations, the churches, the mosque must sanction people, must reject or expel corrupt individuals from their midst. It must no longer be acceptable. When we do that, then we will find less people carrying out corrupt actions. But I think for communities as well, and I said this in my last point, we need communities to more and more become the accountability hubs. The grassroots have to be empowered to demand accountability. They must be taught how to track public resources. We have gov spend, we have budgets. They must be taught to see how those funds are allocated and how their siphoning affects their daily lives. They must be taught how to demand accountability, how to monitor community projects, how to set up town halls with public officials, do local budget tracking, community scorecard, those things that we teach in our fellowship program. And we hope we get more funding to this next year. Empower them, give them the tools, and then leave them. And that goes for us as civil society, faith-based organizations, student unions, traditional rulers, all of them together can help to improve these actions at the grassroots. And then we need to stop our talk. Like there's too much cho no working. So for non-Nigerians, no evidence. We need government institutions to move beyond commitments. Oh, we will do, we are working on, our plan is to actual implementation and accountability. So we need actual openness, transparency. If reply freedom of information requests, please, so people have access to information. And then we need our anti-corruption agencies to be independent. We've heard far too many stories of anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria collecting bribes, throwing cases under the rug, collecting bribes to die cases, to bury cases rather, collecting bribes from people who committed financial fraud. And so when people no longer even have trust in the people who are policing those who are corrupt, then there's no incentive to fight it. And so we need independence and also people with integrity. And part of that is a remuneration issue where they need to, not for one of them, but for at least one of the other anti-corruption organizations that is even worsely paid than the other one, But even the value systems that people in the recruitment process, so we just need better people in those agencies, and they need to be more independent rather, and better equipped to tackle corruption. And I think finally, I would say, let's use technology, let's share more data, and this collaboration between government, civil society, media, private sector, development partners, all of us have to work together, share data, align our efforts, and we would see that critical mass, and our work will be more impactful when we work together. So this is to all our partners to say we're open for collaboration in 2026. We're stronger together. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we're stronger together. Collaboration over competition, very important as well. Um, well, before we wrap up, because this is the final stages of this episode, I'm just asking, you can go, if there is any final message or thoughts you want our listener to leave or take away from this episode. What's that one thing you'd like to re-emphasize? Could it be maybe the fight against corruption is everyone's business? This is why they should join in the fight. Or in fact, that in Nigeria there's still an exception. Not everyone in Nigeria is corrupt, because we've seen cases, we've seen people who have misplaced their items in airports, a huge sum of amounts, and people put it out there and say someone lost this money. How can I get it to the person? And then these are still people with integrity in the same Nigeria we say is corrupt. So what is that one thing you're leaving, your final message for our listener in this episode? Start with you, Dr. Gaza.
So what I would like to say, and I want everybody to remember these words that I'm saying, and I'm about to say, I'll say, when you don't take a stand against corruption, you are tactically supporting it. And corruption is the enemy of development and also an enemy to good governance. So we want good roads, we want good hospitals, we want a society where the rule of law is working, we want a society where everything is working. You get out of school, you're the best in your class, you can get a good job, you can feed your family and all that. Then you have to stand firm and say no to corruption. And for us, at Step Up Nigeria, we have also seen that integrity, transparency, and the fight against corruption have to be part of our culture. And as Nigerians, we are also advocating and saying that let this integrity, transparency, and fight against corruption, let it just be part of us. Let it just be part of our moral norms, so that our young ones that are coming up will hold these values. So it will be like a fundamental value for them. And if they hold these values, Nigeria will surely be transformed. Let me say in the next 5 years, or in the next 5 to 10 years. So this would be my last words to all Nigerians and the world at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Over to you, ma.
Yeah, my fellow Nigerians, don't give up. Everybody can japa. I say all the time, everybody cannot run. And some of us don't plan on running. So don't give up. If you give up, that's when everything will spoil. So keep making constructive noise, keep advocating, keep learning, keep reading, keep getting information, and don't stop. But I do want to say, on behalf of Step Up Nigeria's board, on behalf of our management, our founder, Onyinye O, myself as director of programs, and my entire team, thank you for listening to our podcast this year. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for following us on social media. And thank you for just supporting our work. We have felt the love from all our steppers, friends, and partners this year. So I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas holiday and a happy and prosperous 2026. So I'll let Joshua give you all the follow information. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Gaza. Thank you, Miss Feranmi and so grateful to have you both share your insights and experiences in this very interesting and inspiring conversation. And yeah, to you, our esteemed listener out there, thank you so much for having listened to us up until this episode. If you just found us randomly on while you were searching on Spotify, wherever it was, we also say thank you so much. But with that, it brings us to the end of today's episode of the Step Up Nigeria podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation and you're looking for a way to keep getting insightful content from us, please subscribe, share, and leave a review on what you think, or leave a comment even. You can find us on YouTube at Step Up TV. You can find us on our social media platforms on X, which is formerly Twitter, at step_up_Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at Step Up Nigeria. On Instagram, we're also at step_up_Nigeria. And on LinkedIn, we're at Step Up Nigeria. We're also on TikTok and as well Thread at Step Up Nigeria. Please do well to follow us on all these platforms and even leave a like, a comment as well to get updates on our work, upcoming programs, and opportunities to get involved. Keep your fingers crossed. There would be lots of opportunities for 2026 because the year is looking really blessed, as our PDR said. And then the mobile app, which is the Sun mobile app, you can stay informed, stay engaged, and take action by going on your Google Play Store or your iOS to download the Step Up Nigeria mobile app to get access to anti-corruption tools, stories of change, learning resources, and opportunities to get involved all in one place. You can join thousands of citizens to build integrity and accountability every day. Just get the app now and be a part of the change we are building. Together, we can continue to build a culture of integrity and accountability, one community at a time. Thank you so much for listening. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year in advance. And until the next episode, I remain Joshua Udidi. I have done this alongside Dr. Gaza and Miss Feranmi, and have a great holiday. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.